Uh,
Morning, Andy.
hey, good morning, Jeanette. How are you?
Month already.
Sorry, what was that?
Has it been a month already that we've
I
chitty
know.
chatted?
Yeah, I know. It whirls around really quickly, you know.
It does, much like the numbers. The numbers whirl around a lot for you when it comes to real estate, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I think like on the second, I'm always actively looking to see if the numbers are out that I can use them and start putting them together. So, yeah, I like numbers a lot. It gives me a foundation to build on to know where we're going.
I do see though, because I follow your page quite a bit. You're quite well versed in what's going on. You've had some houses sell these days of listings. So congratulations. You've got some new families moving into your neck of the woods.
Yes, yeah. No, we had 96th Avenue sell for Nice. We've 77A. Looks like our two Surrey listings are getting a lot of activity. It's
Good.
it's a bit of pent-up demand, I think, that's out there. And with the last interest rate announcement of keeping it level and not
Mhm.
increasing or decreasing, it gives a bit more confidence to people that are waiting to purchase. And perhaps we are just having a little bit of a push between now and Christmas. We'll see.
Mhm. So just before we get into the numbers, because sometimes we forget to chitty chat about this. Have you got some open houses coming up?
Oh yeah, we down on 142A and on Killarney Street. We both those have open houses coming, and times are Sunday 2 to 4. Just take a look at my website, Andy
Okay.
at therealtor.com, and you'll find more details there.
Yeah, I've seen the properties being advertised, and the new one that just came up, Killarney. Wow, what a backyard! Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. That was we had a lot of fun doing that video. It backs onto Sullivan Park, so it of course you got a lot of green space behind you. It's almost half an acre in size, and it's a nice 2,400 square foot rancher. It's a great place to start to raise your kids or to downsize if you're looking for one level living.
And if you're like me that have fur babies.
Yes, yeah.
So let's see what the market numbers are telling us, Andy.
Sure. Okay, yeah, more than happy to start sharing the screen, and let's roll in here and see what we've got. So yeah, so here we are, November 10th, and our market stats. So the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board sales for the previous month, they processed 970 sales. That's a 12% increase or decrease compared to September of last year. So we had less sales in October over September, yet it was a 7.7% increase from October of 2022. So we're doing a little bit better than last year, but we're still on that downturn from starting in August. And supply of new inventory is always important to watch because that gives you the path to where we're going. And new inventory decreased 11%. With the board processing 2,535 new listings, 2,535 listings from the previous month, although it was an increase of 16% compared to the same month of last year. So we've increased the listings from last year, but again, we've decreased from the previous month. And I'm a visual kind of person too,
Mhm.
so I need to see it in a graph. And here you can see October of 2022, we had 901 sales for that month and 2,186 listings
Wow.
as compared to last month, October, where we had 2,535 new listings and only 970 sales. So the ratio is of sales to active listings is considerably less than last year, even though we've had more inventory. And then of course you can see that here's our inventory dropping off from last month, and our sales are dropping off and from the previous month. And it could be that we are starting to see a movement towards Christmas where it gets a little bit more quieter.
Mhm.
December can be a quieter month where And in November, though, we did have a bit of an uptick in the first week or so. People trying to get in interest rate announcement came in and sort of maybe encouraged a few people to jump in. Then if you look at, again, further information on inventory, this is going back to 2018. This is when the stress test came in, and you can see how our inventory jumped, and of course prices correspondingly went down. But then confidence came back into the market. People adjusted for the stress test, and inventory started going down. COVID hit, and we thought, wow, that we're going to see a lot of things going wrong, and inventory jumped high in the first 2 months because everybody thought this was the beginning of the end. But you can see the long-term trend here all the way into January of 2022 that inventory really fell off because a lot of homes were being bought up, and then in March of 2022, that's when we hit the peak in terms of pricing. You can see then our inventory started to go back up. It was already going back up, and then they raised the interest rates. It was already going back, and prices were declining, and I can show that in the next graph. And they started to raise the interest rates to tackle inflation. And so then you can see our inventory dropped off, and then for the spring, early summer of this year, and then of course our inventory started to move back up again. We're well into that balanced market, moving into a buyer's market in terms of inventory, and it will be interesting to see how the new year unfolds in terms of that. And
Andy, just before you go ahead, can you go back to the other slide? There's just something there visually that is really interesting, and what you have said is if we take that last on the right-hand side little piece there,
yes,
and almost plunk it over on the opposite side of the graph, it's almost a mirror image about how history kind of repeats itself, but it looks like history tightens up. Like history is not as long drawn out, that history is now getting a little tighter going forward. That's what I'm seeing on my side? Is that case in fact?
Yeah, they do talk about cycles, financial cycles getting tighter and quicker. That at one time I think they said that every 7 years that we have a recession or something like that, and we're seeing 3 to 5 years in terms of those cycles. But you could say that this arc here is very similar to this one, and it is a real roller coaster here in terms of inventory. It's not a very level field that a constant, and so sometimes you need to choose when to purchase, maybe to buy investment properties. However, what we find is that people are buying a home to live in, and that there is not a lot of speculation out there. There hasn't been a lot of speculation out there. We haven't seen people flipping their homes in 2 or 3 months. Even through all the market upturn that we had, people were buying and holding and moving in. It was the immigration that was pushing up pricing, not speculation. And now those numbers are starting to come out that we're starting to see that. Yeah, I saw a article the other day where the federal government has tightened up on foreign buyers, and it has, there's a 2-year ban on foreign buyers. And the expectation is that it only affects 2% of the market across Canada. So, there's a lot of political pandering going on. And I would suggest that every time you see some announcement, look at it through the eyes of how much of a market piece does that take? Airbnbs and rentals. I think there's like 1 million rentals out there in BC, and there's 30 or 40,000 Airbnbs.
Wow.
So they take those Airbnbs, how much rental stock will actually come into the marketplace. But I'm starting to jump on a horse there. Let's move on.
Time to ride the other path now, Andy.
Yeah. So so our inventory, this I have added, and that next month we'll switch these around so it's a little bit more linear. But this is last month's inventory of detached homes, and you can see how our detached homes have increased. And this breaks it down a bit more so that you can see, yes, townhomes have increased and condos have increased too. And in fact, I'm starting to see a real softening in condo prices. you know, it is that these people are not being able to sell their homes, and they were buying. People would be selling their detached homes, retiring, and then they would be buying a condo to move into, and or they would buy 2 condos and rent one out, and that's not taking place anymore. So and then, you know, with looking at inventory and how that affects our pricing index, this is the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board Price HPI index. And you can see here the stress test, it kind of flattened our market out, and then COVID hit, and there we went on that wild ride, which thankfully is over. And then, you know, here's the interest rate. That's when it started to increase the rate. But you can see that the market had already been declining for 3.5 months. And and this downward trajectory was firmly in place when they brought the interest rate hikes, and now we saw a recovery starting in this year, and but now with the continued rate hikes going up, which they take about 6 months to really kind of hit the economy, we're starting to see the downturn. And townhouses and detached or townhouses and condos are they're staying flat at this point.
So, Andy, would that mean, just seeing again the numbers there, I'm a young couple, and the kind of the sure bet to kind of hold value with an increasing, how long would you say somebody in an apartment, let's call it a 2-bedroom, maybe plus den, 1,200 square foot apartment, to kind of hang on to that in order for it to turn into that equity that I can go up now to a townhouse or possibly go into a smaller detached home? How long do you typically see somebody with an apartment? That's their first home.
As 5 years, probably,
Okay.
3 to 5 years. You know, they're building equity, and then, you know, they might buy it as a couple if they have a child, or you know, they're looking to increase their living space. It is difficult now with, you know, affordability. It is very difficult. We do have an issue with housing affordability. But you know, if the market is coming down and you see a graph like this where the detached housing is starting to make a move downward and condos and townhouses are relatively flat, that, you know, if a detached $1.5 million home is down 10%, that's 150,000. If your a $600,000 condo is down 10%, that's 60,000. So if you can make the jump from a condo townhome in a declining market, you actually will be gaining your investment will be increased, because the detached homes that is a bigger jump in terms of dollars, or a decline in dollars, and so that would, you know, sort of help your position as you move forward. But it's always really hard to do that, because in a declining market, people say, well, you know, my house or my condo or townhome was worth more, and now I'm losing money. But when you're purchasing something too that has declined, and percentage wise or that dollar wise turns into a bigger dollar figure to your benefit. And
Well,
so
and I am confident that you would explain all this with lots of paper and numbers on a piece of for your prospective clients.
It is, you know, it's something that you need to sort of have a face-to-face discussion on to sort of get that. But just real simply, again, you know, a detached home is down 10%, and it's $150,000 down, and your condo is down 10%, and it's a $600,000 condo, and it's down 60. So, you know, 150 minus 60, you know, you're into it you're gaining $90,000 in value. And so that's the time that you need to make that jump. Not when the market's going up, because then your detached house is, you know, going to be worth that much more, and your condo will not. That's when the market takes away from the prospect of moving up. You're kind of losing equity there.
Thank you.
Now's the time.
Yes.
So and then here we're going to look at inventory in Langley. You know, you can see that our detached housing again is well into the buyer's balanced market, moving into a buyer's market, and that the increase in inventory, townhouses inventory is down a bit, but condos inventory is up. And so that's where, we're starting to see that flat market with the condos and townhomes. However, detached has got the biggest boost of inventory, and of course that's going to translate into lower pricing. And then of course here's our graph, which is really kind of, for Langley, is kind of flat in terms of pricing, where even townhouses have gone up a little bit, but condos are 606,500 to 609,500, a slight increase. Townhomes 861,200 to 869,600, again a slight increase. But however, detached houses are pretty well flat, at 1,636,900 to 1,632,000, which is a little bit of an increase. So it's basically a flat market.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty well it, for our market stats. Remembrance Day is coming up. I always lose my poppy. I have to look, feel it if it's still there, because they do fall off. But Jeanette, you've been doing it. You wanted to talk a little bit about Remembrance Day, and
Yes, absolutely. There is lots happening in the Langleys for Remembrance Day ceremonies tomorrow. Just going to bring up, so at the city of Langley, it's going to be at Douglas Park in downtown Langley. It's always very well attended, and if you live in the Langleys, it's very walkable to get down to Douglas Park. And then in the Township, Aldergrove is presented by the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 265, and that will be at the Aldergrove Legion at 26607 Fraser Highway. Fort Langley, of course, the one that we're both involved with, is at the Fort Langley Cenotaph at 23105 St. Andrews. And you can always visit fortlangley.remembers.com to take a look at that, as well as it's going to be live streaming.
yes,
both the Facebook page and on our website. And then in Murrayville, at the Murrayville Cenotaph, that will be at 214-1744. And that's Murrayville remembrancedday.ca. And you can find all this information as well, very well listed on both the City of Langley's website and the Township of Langley's website, all the details on which ones are going to be live streamed and which ones aren't. So there's no reason why not to pause for a minimum of about a half an hour out of your day tomorrow to remember those that are fighting for our freedom today, and of course those that fought for our freedom yesterday and long ago.
yes, yeah. Remembrance Day has always been really important to me, and I've been involved with the Fort Langley committee for, I don't know, a long time, and Jeanette and I both. But it is also to coming together to sort of help broadcast a mission of peace, and a mission that that we need to settle our differences in communication and talking, and not acts of war. And I think going forward, that is really important to what we, so that the people that have gave their lives in the past didn't do so needlessly, that we've learned something from that, and that we really, I mean, you see things going on, and it's just incomprehensible what war is like, and we as a world, we need to come together and settle our differences differently.
Back to peace.
Yeah.
And I encourage you all to do the Google and type out, maybe I'll put a link afterwards, because I like to hijack your website every once, or your Facebook page every once in a while, to the poem Flanders Fields, and read it out. I can remember being about 5 or 6 years old, hearing it for the first time in an assembly, and it's so poignant when it was written back in the day to today. So I encourage you all to type in the Google in Flanders Fields.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
okay, so Andy, I will see you on screen, because I'm manning the online version of the Fort Langley Remembrance Day ceremony tomorrow, and I will see you on screen tomorrow, my friend.
Okay. Everybody else, have a good day, and let's hope it's not raining.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everyone.